Joining me now is Mollie Hemingway, editor-in-chief at The Federalist, and Miranda Devine, New York Post columnist. They are both Fox News contributors. Mollie, just as shocking as these revelations were from Archer, the statement from the White House claiming that this proves President Biden did nothing wrong.
Yeah, that was a very interesting statement to get from the White House. It, of course, matches what their interest is. But what happened today was actually quite breathtaking. We have Devin Archer saying that Burisma executives asked Hunter Biden to help them get the prosecutor who was going after them fired. We know, everyone knows, nobody denies that Joe Biden was the Ukraine point person in the Obama administration. We know that 5 days later, Joe Biden was speaking in front of the Ukrainian parliament, laying the groundwork to get this guy fired. And then, as you showed, he bragged about getting it done within just a few short months. This teaches us so much about how that Biden family business worked. Foreign oligarchs, and Ukraine is just one example. It's also Romania and China and Russia, paid millions of dollars to the Biden family for just this type of action. And this is, this is amazingly corrupt behavior, whether the Biden White House wants to admit it or not.
Now, Miranda, we played that little snippet from Congressman Goldman, the Democrat who was in the hearing today. He came out, and they clearly just decided he had the cred from impeachment, right? So they were going to use him as the Susan Rice during Benghazi. I know you guys love that comparison. But this is what he claimed was vindicated today. Watch this.
There is not a shred of evidence of a single conflict of interest of President Biden ever doing anything in connection or in relation to Hunter Biden's business ventures other than advocating for the removal of a prosecutor general who was advantageous to Burisma.
Miranda, I mean, he's kind of flop sweating there if you look closely, and I think for good reason. Your reaction?
Well, that in itself, Dan Goldman's done it again. He seems to, he's playing the role of the defense counsel for the Biden family, but he can't seem to get out of his prosecutorial previous role because he's making the case for the prosecution against Joe Biden here again. So Victor Shokin, at the very time that he was removed on the orders of Joe Biden, the prosecutor there, he was investigating Burisma, the company that was paying Hunter Biden $83,000 a month. So he, within a few months of Hunter Biden and Devin Archer getting Joe Biden on the phone to talk to their Burisma paymasters in Dubai, we had Victor Shokin seizing all property belonging to the owner of Burisma in Kiev. And so he was operating as a thorn in the side of Burisma. And we know that because the Burisma executives were extorting and trying to get Devin Archer and Hunter Biden to do something about Shokin because it was causing them problems. Yeah, so again,
I'm just saying, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, the fact pattern here, Mollie, this is not a coincidence. This all just happened to happen at the same time. What talent that you may be aware of in all your reporting does Hunter Biden have in international finance?
Well, this is what's so amazing. We had all the drama during the Trump administration, which, whatever you want to say about this family, they were known as a global business involving real estate. And our media were so curious about every little aspect of that. Here you have the Biden family business. There's not a single, tangible thing that they offer other than changes to U.S. policy, which we now have evidence that there was a change in U.S. policy that was advantageous to Burisma, which was paying the vice president's son money for that access. These types of things, or we also learned, there was a Moscow wife of the former mayor of Moscow was giving money to the Bidens. She's kind of mysteriously not on the sanction list that we have against also so many Russians. So this is what was offered, but there's nothing tangible or like that anyone would realistically pay Hunter Biden or other Biden family members for other than that access to Joe Biden.
And Miranda, more of the spin coming out of this was that, Hunter was selling the illusion. That word was thrown out today. The illusion that his father would step in and help. So we're supposed to believe, I guess, that he cheated his clients and that all these huge conglomerates and sophisticated international financiers, that they're just writing checks for nothing? I mean, and if so, did Hunter Biden declare a gift on his tax return? Because that would be subject to gift tax if, in fact, he was paid to do nothing. I don't believe he did.
Look, the spin coming out of the Democrats is just desperate and hilarious. To pretend that it's nothing that Joe Biden appeared on speakerphone at as many as 20 business meetings that Hunter was having with his overseas benefactors who were spraying him with diamonds and cash. To pretend that that's nothing and that Joe Biden was just dialed in to talk about the weather. Of course, Joe Biden is not going to discuss the fine points of the deal.
Yeah, he's not that
the
dumb.
chairman. It's just the whole point of influence peddling is to demonstrate that you can get the most powerful man in that country, in Ukraine or China, on the phone at a moment's notice. And that's what was demonstrated with those phone calls and those dinners, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the Democrats think they can get away with it because the New York Times and CNN and Washington Post will not report on this as they should. They will report it as the spin from the White House, which is that Joe Biden's just such a good father that he calls his father, he calls his son every day. Yes, speaking of corrupt.
But but there was no conflict, Mollie, because Joe Biden didn't say, well, by the way, Burisma, my son is actually working to help Burisma, and they might be helped if this guy gets fired. He needed to say that
literally
at the very
nothing
least.
but conflict of interest when you're taking money from foreign oligarchs for access to your father, who's vice president.
Mollie and Miranda, great to see you tonight, both. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.